Hello team, welcome. In our previous lessons, we have been analyzing characters chapter by chapter. In this lesson, we move on to themes. One of the themes in the novel The Pew is deceit or dishonesty. This theme is portrayed by the doctor who, upon getting the news that Kino has found the great pew, he changes his mind and claims that he is treating Kino's child who is bitten by a scorpion. In actual sense, we all know that the same doctor refuses to treat Coyotito previously because Kino is poor. He also lies that he is not at home when Kino comes to seek treatment for his child Coyotito. All this happened because the doctor knows that Kino is poor and cannot have enough money to pay him for the treatment. But later on, after realizing that Kino will become rich, he changes his mind and claims that Kino is his client. The theme is also shown by the priest who comes to Kino's brush house to confirm the news which he gets about Kino's great pew. He fails to marry Kino in his church at first because Kino has no money to pay him. But now that Kino is rich with the pew, he comes to tell him that he is a great man or father of the church. He even goes on to say that Kino's name was written in the books. But in true sense, the priest labels Kino as a poor man and does not visit him in good faith. The buyers also plan to cheat Kino when he comes to sell his great pew to them. They offer him low prices, although they know his pew is of great value. They go on to say that Kino's pew is large and clumsy, worthy for a museum. They say it is fool's gold, yet later on they regret for missing the opportunity and fear the failure to buy it. They only wanted to cheat Kino so that they can buy it at a low price and sell it at a higher price. The theme is also portrayed by agents of pew dealers who disappear with the money when they are sent to the capital to sell pews for other people. Previously, as we were reading the book, we learned that in Kino's village, fishermen could trust one person to take their pews to the capital, but these agents end up running away with the money. This is told by Thomas to Kino as a matter of warning him to be careful with his pew and that he must not trust anyone on the sales. Juan Thomas, a brother to Kino, also lies to people that Kino, Joanna, and the pew have been destroyed in the burning house. This is happening when Kino is hiding in Thomas's house. So Thomas did this, telling people different stories to confuse them because he does not want anyone to follow him or know where he is for his protection sake. Greed or materialism. It is portrayed by the doctor who claims that Kino is a client of his and goes to visit Kino in his home after hearing the news of his fortune. He is not concerned about the chance of Coyotito dying, but instead he is trying to squeeze as much money out of Kino as possible. The theme is also shown by the priest who comes to visit Kino's house after hearing about the world pew discovery. He is so patronizing because he considers natives to be children. But in this case, he flatters Kino and puts in his 2 cents about how they should donate money to the church. He just wanted to get money from Kino. That is why he is claiming that Kino and his wife should donate money in form of tithe. The pew buyers pokes at the pew and calls it clumsy for being too large, and finally offers 1,000 pesos just to make sure they keep a low price for something which is worth 50,000, so that they should make more profit out of it. This too is great. Curiosity. This theme is shown by pew divers at the ocean who are very curious to know and see the pew which Kino has just found. This has led them to abandon their work for a while and rush where Kino and his wife are just in order to see the pew. By this time, Kino has not officially informed them about the pew, but they have enough evidence that Kino has found the pew due to his shouting for joy. Kino also becomes curious after finding the pew. He looks forward to what it can bring. His life has become so ambitious. He's thinking of buying new clothes, wedding at church, buying a refill, and sending Coyotito to a good school. Relatives and neighbors of Kino are also very curious to see the pew, and they all rush to his brush house just to see it. They gather at his house in order to have a look at the pew and to know what Kino will do with the money after selling the pew. The priest becomes very curious when he hears the news of Kino's pew, which he later visits Kino for the same. He desires to see it and reminds Kino to remember the unrepaired church after the sales of the pew and thanking God by giving tithe to the church. Curiosity is also portrayed by the French doctor who becomes curious about Kino's pew and visits him. At his house, the doctor becomes curious to know where Kino has hidden the pew. This made him to have glasses at the corner of the house where he thinks the pew can be hidden. He even later on asks Kino to give him the pew so that he can keep it in a safe place for Kino to avoid it being stolen. The beggars also become curious to see the sudden change of Kino from poverty to prosperity, and they wanted to escort Kino to see how his fortune will become at the market. In this case, they are even hopeful to get more from Kino because as one person who tasted poverty before, he will remember his friends still suffering. Poverty is another theme in the novel The Pew. It is portrayed by Kino's family. Firstly, they are living in a brush house, which shows that the family is poor. Kino fails to provide money for the medicine to treat his son, Coyotito, an indication that they are poor. The baby has no crib or cradle. His bed is hung from ropes that extend from the ceiling. This is to prevent any insects or scorpions from hitting the baby. And also, when the story begins, Kino is waking up in the early morning inside his hut on the beach. Joanna starts the fire in a fire pit, which is where she has to cook the meals. And the hut that they live in has no door, and the floor is dirty, an indication that Kino is very poor. After the discovery of Pew, Kino said after he sells it, he will have a church wedding and send his son to school, which also shows that he was poor and could not even afford a church wedding and a school fees for his son. The beggars also portray the theme of poverty. They sit near the church begging for alms. This shows that they cannot meet their basic needs on their own. They are described as hungry, weak, and tired, and they wear old, worn-out clothes. They also gather around Kino after he finds the pew, hoping to benefit from his wealth. These details clearly shows that the beggars live in extreme poverty. Exploitation. This theme is portrayed by the pew buyers who want to exploit the poor Kino so that he remains poor by buying his great pew at the cheapest price. They actually have a meeting agreeing on the cheapest price to buy the pew of Kino in order that he continues to live a miserable life while they enjoying life. The priest also wants to take advantage of Kino by demanding him to thank God in form of paying tithe to church and to repair the church simply because he has the pew. This theme is also portrayed by the doctor who wants to exploit the poor Kino by demanding to keep the pew on his behalf, as if Kino cannot keep it himself. In true sense, he wants to steal the pew from him in this way. The doctor also exploits the poor people by not giving them treatment even if they are at a point of death, simply because they cannot or they can pay a little. Disillusionment. Disillusionment means the feeling of disappointment or sadness when you realize that something or someone is not as good, true, or perfect as you believed. So, in the novel The Pew, this theme has been portrayed in different ways. Firstly, it is portrayed by Kino, who dives into the sea and finds the great pew, which he and his wife Joanna believes will bring more money to the family, which will be used for medical payment to the doctor for coyotitos. But later, Joanna discovers that the pew is evil and a source of problems into their family. Their expectation was that after selling the pew, they are going to be rich. They are going to pay for the coyotitos treatment. They are going to buy good things. But later, the same pew was a cause of more problems. Disillusionment is also shown when Kino is about to sell the pew. The buyers quoted that the pew is useless and far away from what they are expecting, as the way people are talking about the pew, and this disappoints Kino because Kino expected to sell the pew at 50,000, but is only being offered little amount, something that disappoints him and those people that have escorted them. Just like Joanna, looking at the situation that has reached of burning Kino's house, Joan Thomas also starts to believe that the pew is evil and that Kino should throw it away since it is bringing more trouble than expected. Their expectation from the pew was not trouble, but more wealth. The native pew divers also thinks that collecting all pews together extracted from the ocean and give it to one person to sell it to the capital will earn them more money in attempt to run away from the low prices. Unfortunately, the one assigned for the job ends up running away with all the money. The priest comes to visit, but he is so patronizing because he considers the native to be children. He flatters Kino and puts in his 2 cents about how they should donate money to the church after the sales, but the great pew ends up back into the sea. The expectation of the priest was that even though Kino was a native, even though this priest was so patronizing for considering natives as children, he still hopes to get something from the pew. Unfortunately, the pew has gone back into the water, showing the theme of disillusionment. After Kino's discovery of the pew, the native Indians believes that the pew will bring more wealth to Kino and his family. But at last, they end up realizing that the pew is not good because of what the buyers say, and it leads to the death of their son, Coyotito. When Kino disagrees with the buyer's offer for the pew, he decides to sell it to the capital, thinking he will get a better price there. But along the way, his son is shot dead, and the pew is thrown back into the sea. You can see the disappointment. Kino decides he wants to get married to his wife officially in the church. Now that they can pay for it after selling the great pew, He looks into the pew and sees a vision of them at the altar, dressed and spiffy. Then he says he wants a refill and continues that his son Coyotito will go to a best school. But the great pew turns out to be an evil thing, and it has been thrown back into the sea. Or the vision or the wishes has gone with the pew. Violence. Violence is portrayed by pew chasers or intruders. In chapter 4, we see Kino going home from La Panzie after failing to sell the pew. While at home, as the night grows darker, Kino goes to the doorway. After sensing some danger, and when Joanna follows, she finds him on the ground bleeding from the head after being kicked by the pew chasers. Violence is also portrayed by Kino. When Joanna is about to throw the pew into the water, Kino wrestles it back, strikes her in the face, and kicks her once she is fallen to the ground. This also shows how violent Kino has become because of the pew. At first, Kino was a good man, so loving, so caring, but now because of the pew, he starts beating his wife. Violence is also portrayed by Kino, who leaps up and stabs his knife into the man's neck, just as the gun goes off, and Kino goes nuts on the three men, managing to kill them. This also shows violence. The destruction of the canoe is portrayed as greater evil than the killing of a man, because it represents the loss of Kino's ability to earn a living and the destruction of a sacred family heritage passed down from generations. This shows that those people who destroyed the canoe and also those people who burnt down Kino's house were so violent. Strength. It is portrayed by Kino, who dives in the ocean searching for the pews, and he is able to stay under the waters for almost 2 minutes, which shows that he is a strong man. Upon discovering the great pew, one intruder comes to Kino's house at night in an attempt to steal the great pew. Kino gets smashed on the head but chases off the bad guy. This also shows that Kino is so strong. Although Kino is pushed by pressure from the surrounding people, like Joanna about the pew that it is evil, Kino is able to stand still on his idea of having the pew to improve his life and family, since it is his only hope to become rich after he sells. This shows how strong-minded Kino is. When the doctor visits Kino's house, he proposed an idea to Kino that he needs to keep his pew at his safe, since the house is not safe for valuable things. But Kino rejects the offer, and he is ready to defend his pew against all odds. Joanna, seeing that the pew is evil and that Kino is rejecting to throw it away, she decides to throw the pew back into the ocean. But Kino manages to stop her, just as she is about to throw the pew into the water. Kino wrestles it back, strikes her in the face, and kicks her, and once she is falling to the ground, showing also that Kino is so strong. As Kino makes his way back to the hut, a figure attacks him. He stabs the figure with his knife and leaves him on the ground bleeding, while the pew is knocked into the ground, also proving how strong Kino is once again. Another theme is mistake. Mistake is portrayed by different characters in the novel The Pew. It is portrayed by Joanna, who thinks that the doctor is going to cure her baby. She does not realize that he is the one who made the baby sick in the first place by giving the baby the white powder. This could be avoided if they could stick to their traditional medicine rather than involving the doctor who does not have the best interest of people at heart. Joanna also makes another mistake by returning the pill to her husband when she decides to throw it at the sea. The pill is trouble. This item they thought would make them rich causes them to lose everything. Because of it, their baby dies and their lives will never be the same. And this could have been avoided by throwing the pill back into the sea when she had the chance. Kino also makes a mistake. He is aware that everybody in the town or the village wants to steal his pill and faces many attacks in the process. This could be avoided by selling the pill just to get rid of it and free himself from the attackers when he is offered 1,500 pesos. But you see, Kinwe, he is so ambitious, so he fails or refuses to sell the pill at a small or little amount. Pill buyers knows that the word pill is worth a lot of money and will give them more profit once they buy it, but they offer an acceptable price as low as 600 pesos, which makes Kino not to sell it. This could be avoided by the buyers offering at least a fair price. They could have at least offered a fair price. Kino knows that after the pill discovery, everybody is an enemy because they all eye the pill to the point of hunting him like an animal. Despite all this, he proceeds to take his wife and a kid on a dangerous journey to sell the pill. At the end, they lost the baby. This could be avoided by putting some senses into Joanna's head to stay safe at his brother's house and not taking them along on this journey. Kino also makes a mistake by not taking advice from Joanne and Joanna Thomas that the pill is evil and he could get rid of it because it later brought troubles like losing their house, even their own child. Joanne makes a mistake by not listening to Kino when she was told not to follow Kino on his way to sell the pill because that's where the son was shot dead. This could have been avoided by staying at Joanne Thomas's house and not following Kino to the capital. Death. Death is also being portrayed in different words. Coyotito's death is the most tragic example of the theme of death. Kino finds the pill to save his baby from the scorpion sting and to secure a better future for him, especially through education. Ironically, Coyotito is killed by a gunshot while they are fleeing from the trackers. Kino kills the 3 trackers in the mountains, clearly portraying the theme of death in the novel. After discovering that the trackers intend to kill him, Kino creeps into their camp at night. He silently kills the watcher with his knife, then says the rifle and shoots the other 2 trackers while they are asleep. Kino also kills an intruder who attacks him on his way from the beach. He stabs the man with his knife in self-defense. After the killing, Kino and his family are forced to flee because they fear that other intruders may seek revenge for the man's death. This instance marks the beginning of their flight and shows how the pill brings fear, violence, and death into their lives. This marks the end of our literature lesson today.